Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to your last online session. In this class, we're going to talk about the evidences that we have already worked on this course, and also the evidences that we have to work for this week. Remember that we have different dates, and our final date to upload our evidences is 21st. Is on 21st June. Please pay attention to this date because some people think that the 26th, that is the day where when I'm going to finish to close this course, is the final day to upload the evidences, but please clarify your mind. The final date to upload our evidences is on June the 21st, okay? 21st. And so the schedule for this class is, first we are going to talk about the evidences of the before activities, the previous weeks, and explain some information related of them. Then I'm going to explain the evidences for this week, and then I have a wonderful presentation. So how to be a responsible leader, how to that is the name of this week, the material of this week. But also I'm going to give you some tips that explain how to make an extraordinary presentation in English, okay? But it is not, these tips are not about just in English, but also you can take some notes to understand how to give a excellent presentation, okay? So I'm going to share my screen just to make a review about the evidences, the previous evidences. So let me see this one. Okay, so here you find our course, and we will see the previous activities. These activities are mandatory. You have to send the photocopy of your ID card, okay? It is mandatory. You have to do it, and update your personal information. These activities are mandatory. You have to do it. The next one, because it is not the beginning of the course, so you can decide if you want to do it or not, okay? The prior knowledge survey, the social forum, and also the platform exploration forum are activities that you can choose if you want to do it or not. But these update personal information and the sending of your photocopy of your ID card, these activities are mandatory, okay? They are not optional. And we have here activity 1. Though these activities we worked on the second week of this course, and these activities, these evidences are. Remember that the first step is to review the material. In this case, is called On My Own 2 Feet. Then we have the support material, and this support material is just to exercise to be sure that you understand the topic for this activity, activity 1. Okay, but you can decide if you want to do it or not. For me, it is essential to do this support material because you can exercise, and when you do this material, the next step is to do the evidences, and the evidences are going to be better if you do the support material. Okay, so we have regrets from dying. Regrets for dying, that is the first activity, the first evidence. You have to click here on this link, and when you click here, you can find out a file, a document that explains to you where you can find the instructions for this evidence. Then we have the interactive activity. Remember that in these kind of activities, you have you can do this activity as many times as you can, because you don't have limits to repeat this activity until you get the grade that you want. Okay, so you can do it as many times as you want. And the next activity, the next evidence is the time is now. Remember, you have to click on this link to find out the instructions. In this activity, you must send an audio. So please read carefully the instructions and send the correct evidence. Then we have the lifelong learner, where you can make a video. You have to make a video explain learning experience. For example, you can explain how to cook, how to drive, what was the process that you had to follow when you learn something new in your life, and this learning, why learning that thing was so important in your life. For example, some people tell me, I had to travel to another city, and I had to learn how to cook because I live alone, so I have to cook my own food, and that was the process that I had to follow. So that's the idea to this evidence. So as you can see, we have in the first activity, regrets from dying, interactive activity, regrets, the time is now, and lifelong learner. Okay, then we have activity 2, and in this activity, the material is called flexibility and adaptability, and we have the support material. The first evidence is giving advice, where you can write a letter giving an advice to a person according to a reading that you have to do, and this information you find out in this link, okay? Then we have the interactive activity. Where do we go? The evidence forum, sharing experiences. In this forum, you have to share an experience about something where you can show up your flexibility and adaptability in your life. Some people talk about job opportunities. Some people shared experiences about trips or about their sons, their family, something difficult that they have to face. For that reason, they have to be flexible and adapt to that kind of situations. And life from a wheelchair. In this evidence, you have to watch a video about Ashley, a person that is disabled, and you have to answer some questions about the video. It's like a comprehension activity. And then we have activity 3, and in this activity we have material. The material is called To Be or Not to Be. We have the support material, and if you want to deep on this, all of these evidences, you can go to this link that is called Online Sessions, and in Online Sessions you find out some files, and in this file that is called Grabaciones de las Conferencias Web, you find out the different videos of our classes, online classes, and in those classes, I explain to you every single evidence, but specific with the specific details. Okay, so activity 3, To Be or Not to Be, and the evidences are: Who am I? That is a blog. Click here to find out the instructions. Interactive activity, the interview, my life plan, and making a change. Though these are the evidences that we worked in the last week, and today we start the last week that where we can work the material, the learning guide for. And the material for this week is how to be a responsible leader. We have the support material that we are going to work on too. My presentation outline, and here we are going to click here and read the instructions. So I'm going to read for you. So in this presentation that is called, in this evidence that is called my presentation outline, you have to find a topic of personal interest. Imagine you are going to present that topic orally to your teacher and classmates at school. For this part of the evidence, you need to carry out exhaustive research in order to be able to present all the necessary information related to your selected topic. Report the most important aspects of your research through a brainstorm of the ideas and concepts that you think will be relevant to the presentation. So we have here the first step, that is a brainstorm, and you have to complete your brainstorm, and then you have to follow the structure. So structure your presentation using the signpost language learned during this learning activity. We have here some charts, like some signposts, and you have to follow this structure according to your topic. And the last step is to make a list of references using the guidelines given by the American Psychological Association, APA. Do not forget to organize your references alphabetically. Okay? So we have the last step is references. That's our first evidence, presentation outline. We have 3 steps there. The first one, brainstorm. The second one, the outline of the presentation, and the last one, the references. That's a review about this evidence. Then we have a wiki, and this wiki is called Celebrity Models. In this wiki, we have two. We have here the instructions. When writing your opinion, you will need to use the vocabulary related to leadership and responsibility. You can answer the following question in order to get ideas for giving your appreciation. Am I a big fan of the media? Do I have a celebrity idol? What are the main characteristics of a leader should have? A leader should have. What roles should leaders models display depending on their context? For the second part of this evidence, you have to read your parents' post and write your opinion about it, okay? So we have the first one where you have to answer these questions, and then read about the participation of a person, of a student, classmate, and make your opinion and give your opinion. Okay, that's the second evidence. Then we have the interactive activity. I'm going to put first this. The interactive activity, that is oral presentation, is called oral presentation. You can do this activity as many times as you want. And then we have the evidence world leaders. So click in the first link, and we have the evidence, the explanation, the instructions. So for this evidence, you will need to prepare the materials for doing a presentation about the world leader you must admire. You will need to carry out exhaustive research on the main aspects of your leader's life. So look for a leader and then follow these steps. These are the main aspects you have to make into account. The first one, you need to do the evidence in a presentation, okay? Make a presentation. The second one, you need to structure your presentation, bearing in mind the vocabulary related to leadership and responsibility used consistently during your materials. You'll need to give enough evidence supporting the selection of your most admired world leaders, okay? You need to give enough evidence, supports, arguments, why you admire your leader. Then you need to present numerical and statistical data that represents aspects of your leader, career, or achievements you would like to highlight. At least one graph must be included and explained. Then you need to use app style consistently throughout the materials, and you need to include a complete list of references at the end of your presentation. So we have here step by step what you have to do in this evidence, okay? Here we have the example about Richard and his classmates Caroline are doing another presentation at school. The topic of their presentation is the world's food by 2050. Read their presentation talking about the future of food. So we have here the presentation, what you have to follow, the outline, the graph, also the explanation, graphics, and at last, at the end, you must add the references. So please follow the example, make a pretty good presentation about world leaders. And the last step is the consolidation activity. In this consolidation activity, I'm going to share my screen. Just my board where we have the explanation of consolidation activity. Consolidation activity. English.work6. So, as you can see, here we have the explanation and we have different stages. The first stage is the person I admire the most. What to do? What you have to do? Write a biography of the person you admire the most. This person can be, for example, a public figure, a celebrity, a politician, a world leader, or someone close to you or relative. You can link the previous evidence, that is world leaders, with this one. Or you can work the same character. How to do it? How to do it? So you need to carry out some research in order to collect the necessary information. For writing the biography, if the person chosen is a public figure, you can surf the web in order to get the details you are going to include. On the contrary, if the person shows is someone you know personally, you can set up an interview in order to ask the person the questions you may have about her life. Here is an outline we suggest following for writing the biography. We have chosen Charles Darwin, okay? And we have the steps. First, early life and education. Second, voyage of the beagle. It is like a trip. Okay, Darwin's evolutionary theory. So here is like the most important represents works of this person. Overwork, illness and marriage, personal information about his life, natural selection, geology, books, articles, evolutionary research, publication of the theory of natural selection, responses to publication, descent of man, sexual selection, and botany, death and funeral. So, in this outline, you find out like a chronological events of his life. So, you have to choose a person, choose a person, and according to this person and her or his life, you are going to decide how to do this outline presentation. Of course, you have to create this online presentation depends on your character. Okay. Stage 2, my admiration for. What to do in this section? You will record a tape, video in which you orally present the person you chose in section 1. For this part of this evidence, you need to present the biography as well as explain and illustrate the reasons why you admire this person. Okay? So make a video and explain why you admire that person, and in this presentation you have to follow the online presentation. Okay, record the audio, video, how to do it. So here we have the instructions how to do this video. So you need to organize the information you are going to introduce. Your presentation has to include the following aspects: an introduction, description of biography, arguments and illustrations supporting your admiration for this person, a conclusion, and sources, okay, references. That is our consolidation activity. Remember that has two stages. The first one that is writing stage, and the second one is speaking stage, okay? So try to give your best. And now we're going to work on this part that is called I want to give you some tips to improve your presentations, okay? So you will learn about giving oral presentation. That is important elements related to organization and presentation of data and concepts around the topic. You will learn about the vocabulary, that is so important, that is used for the different stages of the oral presentation, as well as how to present statistical and numerical data. You will learn about styles for crediting sources and references information in addition to the topic of oral presentation and vocabulary related to responsibility and leadership. So these are my outline presentation. So the first step is when you present a topic is to give the receptor to give your outline. What happened in your presentation? What are the stages? And as you can see, we have my outline for this presentation. That is the first step. To become a good presenter, you should. What are the characteristics of a good presenter? The first one, introduce the subject and the structure of the presentation at the beginning. That is the first one. The second one, speak clearly and more slowly than you would in a conversation. Explain, rephrase, and clarify new or difficult words. That's so important, how to speak. And the last step is recap, summarize each part of the presentation at the end. So when you finish a slide, you make a summary, you recap the topic. So in this slide, remember or keep it in your mind that in this slide we are talking about the good tips to a good presenter, to be a good presenter. The first one, introduce the topic. The second one, speak clearly and slowly, explain, rephrase, and clarify. And the last one, recap, and summarize each part of the presentation. That is the most important. And we have sentences that we can use in a presentation. The first one, I would like to talk about education to present the topic. I would like to talk about, for example, our leader. I would like to talk about, what could be, okay, I would like to talk about Obama. I would like to talk about the life of my mother because for me it's a good leader, okay? Then you introduce, it's an introduction of a structure of the presentation. This presentation will explore the different levels of education that exist in Colombia. This presentation will explore and then the topic will explore the biography of the person that I chose that for me is a good leader. Clear spoken language. As has become clear with the example, communication technologies are much more commonly used in education nowadays. So, as has become clear with examples, so you have to give examples to becoming clearer, refers difficult terms or words. Let me put it this way. It's an excellent phrase. Exploration of important facts. In other words, learning English as a foreign language has become crucial for students in Colombia since it is the main language for international trade and commerce. So in other words, you have to rephrase. Exploration, new ideas. Summary, to summarize. To recap, let me recap the main points. It's another way to make a summary about what you have doing in your presentation, okay? The important points of your presentation of the main aspects of your presentation. They are both the same idea, have the same idea to make a summary about your presentation. Preparing notes for a good presentation. So make a card. What you have to do to make a good presentation? Make a card for each part of the presentation and number the cards in appropriate order. Also, give each card a title, like an introduction. This is the first part of the biography. This is the personal information. This is the work, his works or her works, talking about a biography. And then her died or his death, excuse me. Write notes using bullet points or numbers. Letters to help you keep organized and to remind you of the main points of the presentation. Don't write complete sentences or paragraphs. So some of you, I know that some of you are thinking like, but the teacher is presenting a slide with full of writing with a paragraph. Yeah, you're right. In this case, you have to read and also understand the principal characteristics of a good presentation. So for that reason, I have to use this kind of presentation, this kind of paragraphs. But you can present also with images. People also can understand better with images, and don't get lost with maybe when you are reading. Some people are before or after you what you are reading, so could be an aspect to get lost your audience. So could be better if you use images. So you can criticize me, I know. Write key phrases at the bottom of the card to summarize that section of the presentation. Write key phrases at the bottom of the card to summarize that section of the presentation, like a recapping idea. Practice your presentation at home and time yourself. You have to prepare your presentation 1, 2, and 3 times or more if you want. What could be excellent? Line graphs, bar charts, or pie charts. So you have to use numbers. And we have here some examples. The majority of students are enrolled in the arts and economics programs. So you can use the expression the majority. Or the enrollment in arts program is the same as in the economic program. You can make a comparison. The next one, almost 20% or almost 50%, almost 10% of the students are studying law. Approximately, we have here another one, approximately the same proportion of students are enrolled in the medicine and dentistry program and the engineering program. Just under 20%, just over half of the students. These expressions show numbers, and numbers make people believe what you are presenting. So that is a key point. And the last part is about style, how to do references. And we have here books. What about books? Author, you have to write author, initials, dates of publication, as we have here. Book title, place of publication, publisher, and this is the example. Yeah, the author surname, initials, date of publication, book title, place of publication, and publisher. That is the way you make a reference, okay? About the book. What about journal articles and websites? Journal articles, author surname, initial, date of publication, article title, journal title, volume number, page numbers. For example, Smith, so author surname, initials, date of publication, article name, journal title, volume, here, volume number, page numbers. That's the way. And here we have the website. Author is available. Web page title, date of publication if it is available, and date of retrieval, web address. That is the way we do references, APA references. And finally, we have here an exercise where we have to order these phrases in this introductory discourse. So, hello everyone. I would like to talk about the importance of creating sources. I'm going to divide my presentation into 3 parts. Firstly, I will briefly explain why it is important to you to give credit about other people's intellectual property. Secondly, I will talk about the different types of intellectual property that can be recognized. Aquí, for example, the different types of referencing conventions. Then I will discuss the different types of referencing conventions. For example, APA style. Finally, I will present you a few examples of good and bad reference. So this is a pretty good example how to start a presentation. You can use this example in your presentations, in your evidences. So if you I hope you understand, I hope you learn, and this presentation be useful for your evidences. For me, it was a pleasure to be your teacher, to be your instructor. If you need something, you can contact me by email or also by the platform. We have different communication channels. So remember that we have 2. First, send every single evidence that you have to get approved grade. Second, be careful with dates. Please watch the schedule daily. And third, if you have problems, please contact me. Remember, in announcements, you are going to find out all the information about how to download your certification in case you approve this course. You just approve this course if you send every single evidence and you get approved grade, okay? That is the only way you are going to get a certification. So please be careful with dates, be careful with your evidences, work so hard. We are in our final week, and try to give your best. Bye bye everyone. I hope you learned a lot. Bye bye. God bless you.